everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are new that don't know me, my name is Gray and I vlog on travel, lifestyle, inspiration as much as I can. And if this is your kind of thing, hit the subscribe button and also turn on the bell for notification for when I post new videos. Today I'll be talking about my journey on religion and spirituality. To mention, this video comes to you from Salt Lake City. I'm in my hotel room for the day. Today I'll be talking about my journey into religion and spirituality. If this is a topic you find interesting, stay with me. So just to bring some structure to the video, I'll divide it into three sections: my childhood, my young adult, and my adult life. So we'll start with my childhood. I grew up along with my siblings in a religious home. My parents were Catholic and my mother was a strict Catholic at that. She was actually a catechism teacher, Sunday school, so we went every week without fail. My father was also an elder, one of the parishers, and he sat on the board. So we always went to church every Sunday. We were members of the choir, of the church choir, so we went for practice in the middle of the week and then we would go in on Sunday early morning and sing. At school they did teach religious education, so I learned creation versus evolution, and I didn't even know that there was a different school of thought until I was an adult. And that pretty much captures my life as a child. I just grew up in the Catholic religion, which is still the religion that I understand best. Come to my young adult life, at some point I left the Catholic religion when I'd flown the coop and I was out living by myself. I changed religion and I became a Protestant. What denomination? I'm not sure. I just know it wasn't Catholic anymore, and if it's not Catholic, it's usually Protestant. It wasn't formal like the Catholic Church was. It was more informal, more like a non-denominational type of setting. I would go to church every day of the week except for Thursdays. I was very zealous in my commitment to the church. I lived, breathed, spoke church. I went for Bible study twice a week. I was teaching the youth. I was again in the choir. I would be the worship leader. So I grew up in church my whole life, and that really forms the basis of everything I know about this life. Everything I know is grounded in religion. I read the Bible cover to cover. I attended Bible study. I read the study Bible. I read the Torah. I read the Quran. Clearly I was a seeker because I was a Christian, but I was reading books from other religions. So that kind of paints a picture of where my headspace was at the time. I became an adult and I got disillusioned with the organized religion altogether. After several cumulative events, at some point I just walked away from religion. I had tried before, but for some of you, you might know that walking away from religion is not as easy as people make out, especially when you're in a close-knit community where they check on you. They want to make sure you're not losing your faith, you're not losing direction. And I was in a church like that. But eventually I managed to just walk away, and I decided that I was going to build a life. I lost all belief in what was, and I felt lost because I had been grounded in religion for the larger part of my life, and now here I was without anything to lean on, and I wondered if that made me an atheist. I just wasn't sure what to do with myself. I remember it as the most uncertain period of my life, if not just downright unhappy, because I didn't know what to do with myself and I didn't know who to go to if I ran into trouble, because prior to that I would get on my knees and pray to God if I got into trouble. And I somehow confused that walking away from organized religion and walking away from church was the same as having abandoned God. So it took me years to find my way back to God on my own terms, away from organized religion and all the beliefs surrounding it. Now, I had always read self-help books my whole life, from when I was a teenager, I've always been one to reach for a self-help book. That was always something I did. But now with the new freedom that came from walking away from organized religion, I was able to start reading on New Age, something that Christianity forbids, at least in the way I understood it. So I never felt the liberty. I knew it was out there. I thought it was evil myself, because that's what the church kind of led me to believe. And so I didn't dabble in it until I'd walked away from organized religion. And then the first I heard of it, the first close encounter of the other kind that I had was when the Oprah Winfrey Show, when I lived back in Belgium. The Oprah Winfrey Show introduced me to The Secret, which is by Rhonda Barnes, the Australian author that has written the book and produced the film. So I watched the film. I was a bit puzzled because it seemed to preach what the Bible was preaching. It just didn't proclaim that that was the Bible. But I really saw very little contradiction in the messages. If anything, I understood it a lot better from that angle than I had from religion. But the core, the fundamental message was the same, and to date I still think that. So after The Secret, I think I did learn about the law of attraction, and that's when I really started to understand the principles of visualization, intentional thinking, deliberate creation, the art of allowing. And I, since then, have become an avid student of the law of attraction. I wake up to any given tape on the law of attraction every morning, and I fall asleep to it. I fully believe in the powers of visualization, which to me, once again, is not contradictory to what the Bible says anyway, because the Bible does espouse the very same principles. The main difference I find between being spiritual versus being religious is that under spirituality, it does acknowledge a higher power, but it leaves it up to you to give it a name, whether you want to call that God, or you want to call that your superior self, or you want to call that the energy, whatever you're comfortable, because it acknowledges that some people have had very bad experiences with their earthly fathers, and so to refer to God as father or as God is detrimental to people like that. I, on the other hand, had an amazing dad, and I've always molded God's image as my dad, because I see my dad as having had no failing to me as a parent. So I haven't had a hard time seeing God as my father. And even though now I've embraced spirituality, I still refer to the higher power or the source or the energy. I still refer to that as God. For those of you that read my blog, you probably have noticed that every other word, every other paragraph begins with God this and prayer this, because I still believe. I think it's doubtful for anyone else that's still in religion and in church. They would probably look at me as a pagan of sorts. And the Bible does say that there will be those that believe in God, but without the power of the meaning of God. So I do understand where a Christian would be coming from if they judged me, because I once sat in their place. So I understand that thinking. But for me, I have had to craft my own truth. I've had to find my own truth. I've had to discover who I am as a person, and I've had to discover what works for me. And so in a sense, I've combined the message of the law of attraction with my religious background, and I've found a happy medium that makes me happy, it makes me peaceful in my choices, grounded, and I feel empowered, I feel soothed, I feel swathed, I feel loved, I feel accepted, I feel like I'm not alone. I have a God that I pray to, the same God that every religion prays to. And I know Christianity will say our God is not like other gods, that all other religions pray to a different kind of God. I don't believe that. I believe there's one God for everyone. And I believe there's many paths to get there, which is a direct contradiction to what Christianity would teach, that the only way is Jesus. I don't profess to understand the afterlife, so I leave that up to God to judge. But for me, I just choose to believe that there's one God for all religions. There's the same God for those of us that have embraced spirituality over religion. there's the same higher power, it's the same one force, it's the same energy ball, it's the one. There's no two, there's no three, there's no allegiance or affiliation to one religion more than another. It's all the same as far as I'm concerned. I do have to reconcile that spirituality really believes in the power of self, whereas religion believes in the surrender of self. And that is just the face value of the spiritual message as it comes across. But the deeper I go, I find that it actually does talk about surrender more than anything. On the surface, it would appear it says you are God, but the deeper you go, you actually understand it says you just surrender to your higher power, and your higher power will get you there. So that still remains the same message. So why do I tell you this? Well, it's because spirituality is a big part of my life. It's how I live my daily life. I wake up to these same messages, I go to sleep on these same messages. I basically feed off of these messages all day long. If I've popped in my headphones, I'm either listening to some funky music or I'm listening to a message from a spiritual angle, from a business motivational angle, a strategic angle. I'm constantly feeding my spirit and my soul, and I intend to be quite open on this channel and talk about the things that matter to me. So I thought to come and lay the groundworks for it, because I want to be able to say what I believe in, and I would like for us to gather a community of like-minded people around us so that we're free to grow together, we're free to share ideas, we're free to discuss the things that matter to us, and we're able to debate respectfully in the comment section, just for our benefit, for our growth, for our expansion, for the expansion of our knowledge, and for tolerance, to be able to show tolerance and empathy towards each other. I just think it's important that I lay the groundworks and say this is what I'm about. I do not think anyone is superior to another. I don't think religion is superior to spirituality or vice versa. I believe they're complementary. I know Christianity has an issue with spirituality because there's no mention of Jesus and there's no mention of God as such. I don't have a problem with that because I've reconciled it for myself. It's one and the same. I think those are all just things that we get hung up about, but we really shouldn't, because at the end of the day we can respect each other's opinions and grow together. I believe you have a right to believe what you believe, and I have a right to believe what I believe, and what I believe happens to be religion and spirituality. To me, they're not mutually exclusive. If anything, they're absolutely complementary. I feed off of both messages to make a whole for myself, and I build my life based on both. I still say God. I might say higher power, but in my head, this is God. Yeah, so I just thought to clear that up, because these are foundational days for the community we're building here, and it's only fair that we speak our truth, so that we all get on the same page about where we're going, and we all get on the same page about the kind of content we want to consume, so that I can be open about the kind of content I want to bring out, and that you can feel at home as we discuss these topics, as we achieve growth together, as we get to know ourselves better, as we get in touch with who we are spiritually and who we are deep inside. And I'm very open to exchanging ideas, and I'm very open to listening to different opinions. So that's it for today's video. I'm very glad you tuned in. I hope you stay, and if you're new to this channel, I hope you'll hit the subscribe button, and I hope you'll turn on your notifications. And until the next video, bye bye.